Shivanama Harinama Sankirtan Yagna Ki Jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai, Shri Gaurani Tai Ki Jai, Shri Radha Govinda Ki Jai, Shri Krishna Balaram Ki Jai, Shri Radha Shama Sundar Lili Divyangi-devi Ki Jai, Bala Shri Vrindavan Ki Jai, His Holiness Kadambakananda Swami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jaya Jaya Gopishwar, Vrindavana Maj. What's the next one? So today's Saturday, March 9th. It corresponds to the actual, what do you call it, the Roman calendar anniversary of His Holiness Kadambakananda Maj's very amazing and beautiful departure from this material world in Sri Vrindavan Dham. Kadambakananda Maj is practically single-handedly responsible for the Krishna Balaram Mandir having twice the amount of land that it did prior to 1995 or so. What we call the Kenya land, which is the back where it's under construction now they're doing. But he doubled the amount of space that the devotees have at the Krishna Balaram Mandir, and he did it literally at the risk of his life. So we're all just, one thing is that a devotee who puts his life on the line for Krishna and the spiritual master, that's something very, very, very special. So one main thought in my mind in particular is how actually when Krishna, he was thinking, is revealed by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Adi Leela chapter 4, how I will redescend, but I will come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The internal reasons for the descent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's describing how he will, our devotees will come together and we will separate, and but ultimately we're always together, even if there is separation. And actually, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, on his just about to depart, he recommended the mood and prayers of Narottam Das Thakur. He used the word love and rupture. Rupture means separation. This is very good. We should live by that path. So on the spiritual platform, there is no ultimate separation. And what seems like separation is the same as union. Each nourish one another. Just like not eating and knowing that you're coming to a beautiful meal, you know, your appetite increases and then your taste buds become even more peaked. So when the feast finally comes, you can relish it all the more. Of course, union and being together is much more easily appreciable or enjoyable than separation. Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book that feelings of separation, although painful, have a unique transcendental quality that they pacify, and I'll add a word to that, pacify, nourish the heart. So like if we have like a loved one that passes away, we feel pain in their separation. But for the devotees of God, the devotees of the Lord, they are equipped or fortified with actual transcendental knowledge, which is the foundation of which is we are not this material body. It's just like if you buy a car, or here we're in the subway, where we get in the subway car, this is a very good example, and we're running at the speed of the subway car, which on the weekend is usually pretty lousy, most of the time, most of the train. A-train's working good this weekend, supposedly. So when we're in the train, we're running at the same speed of the train, but we don't stay in the train to enjoy being in the train. In the New York City subway, we stay in the train to get from where we are to where we want to be. So this material body is like that also. It's our vehicle, and we drive it nicely, and you know, we look all different directions on the subway, and if there's some crazy person in that car, then hopefully at the next stop we get off like that. So we understand that this body is not just our full self, and that we have a spiritual identity, a spiritual form, a spiritual beauty, spiritual quality, and by practicing that awareness. It's not something new that you're creating. You're actually regaining your original awareness that you're an eternal, ever beautiful part and parcel of Krishna, the Supreme Beloved, reservoir of pleasure. Then your association with other fellow travelers on this path to perfection, of which we all are, but those who have acknowledged it and actually endeavoring in that, that's the best association. But everyone is eternal spirit soul, and everyone, not just in the human form of life, but in all species of life, so we therefore treat everyone properly. So in terms of His Holiness Kadamba Kanamaj, myself, I kind of feel a little bit, let's say, interrupted in this life, that he was posted here in New York to help the service of Shri Shri Radha Govinda, and circumstances were such that, you know, I landed here more or less from Vrindavan, just kind of like came falling out of the sky like Dorothy, and I found myself not in Kansas anymore. Here I am in 2012, and we were given the mercy of particularly Radhanath Swami. He endorsed me and authorized me to do the Harinam at the Bhakti Center, which we did for over 2 years, and then living here, there, and everywhere. And finally, when conditions were finally here on the ground to move back into Radha Govinda Mandir, in 2018, there was like a little hitch in the giddy up of a couple of years, and I didn't actually come back into the temple until 2020. By that time, there was the COVID and nobody was traveling. So I think Maharaj's visit to the temple and me being there all united together was maybe just twice, I think, in the fall of 21, and then again in the Rath Yatra time, 2022. But Maharaj was coming to the Harinam regularly, 2018, 19, when we were living outside. And we know each other from days in Vrindavan, but I wasn't like fully time living there all the time. I was a visitor. I was associated with 24-hour Kirtan and Nidra, and we knew of each other, but only really did we develop a personal relationship when we got here. And he has as we know, he has a very deep love for the chanting of the holy name, being in Harinam Sankirtan. He himself personally told me that this is my pride and joy. I don't want to spend my time in meetings, and I don't like these things. Although he's most qualified to be in the meetings, and he should like be the one, you know, leading or tempering or guiding or making sure the meeting comes out as best it possibly can, you know, bringing people together and everybody's opinion and ideas gel, and we try to come up with a harmonious synopsis. I temper the fact that he is not here physically anymore by the fact that there ultimately will be reunion in a sense. And I personally just felt now in the Harinam today his personal presence and enlivenment. And he told me in so many ways, in so many conversations, how this is the most important thing here for Radha Govinda, is keeping the Harinam Sankirtan going, so, and expanding it. So for that, that's very nice to add to my already existing determination, which to get the thing done over the last 12 years has required me practically 89 or, well, 99% of the time not to budge 1 inch from New York City. My traveling is usually to the extent that this card can facilitate and nothing more. But because it is for the service of Prabhupada's movement, for Lord Chaitanya, and for ultimately Radha Govinda, everything is there. And I'm very thankful to have come upon Kadamba Kanamaj and made friendship with him. We're like kind of contemporaries, if you want to judge it by when we joined and this and that, 1978, both of us, this and that. Thank you all very much. I encourage everyone who is a disciple and a follower and admirer of Kadamba Kanamaj to recognize his endorsement and his love for this New York City Harinam Sankirtan program, which is not anybody's program. It's Lord Chaitanya's program, but to help cooperate together to make it as big and as best it possibly can. Maharaj had full, deep realization about the importance of New York City. Prabhupada started the movement here, how much potency, how much internal Shakti is present here. And so let's go forward together. We're serving in separation, yet at the same time to help each other to become perfect in that service of separation, which is not easy because it's painful to be separated from the one that you love. Hare Krishna. We could actually do this again 2 days after Gaur Pranim, because Maharaj passed away on the second day of the new month of Chaitra, 2 days after Gaur Pranim, which for us this year is the 26th, Tuesday. Yes. And that's the day after we do our, which is a Monday, but the solar day of 12 years of 24-hour Kirtan, which was the 25th of March, and that year was a Sunday. But we have a Times Square permit for the 23rd, 30th, and I think even the 5th, but we're going to choose which one. Well, maybe we do all three, but in accord with the weather, we'll decide which is the best. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. Kadambakana Maharaj ki jai. Of course, today is Shiva Ratri. Lord Shiva is a very great example of one undertaking a seemingly thankless task to do something which is very important in the ultimate scheme of things, to give shelter to those in the mode of ignorance and ultimately guide them to the point where they can actually become spotlessly pure devotees as he is. So we shouldn't be hung up by externals, and we shouldn't be like Lord Shiva's predominant devotees who are more or less materialistic. We should see the very deep devotional side of Lord Shiva. Therefore, we adore and worship Lord Shiva as Gopishvar Mahadev. He is protecting the Rasamandal. When we go back home, back to Godhead, there are no crooks, thieves, and crazy drunk people there. Everybody there is... I'll have to think of some poetry to answer your question, but my mind is a little befuddled right now. So Lord Shiva ki jai. Hare Krishna.